The crystal chandeliers cast a golden glow across the ballroom. White roses and orchids draped every corner like a scene from a fairy tale. I balanced the silver tray of canapés on my palm, weaving through the crowd of designer suits and Cartier watches. This wasn't my world. I was just the help. The wedding coordinator's voice echoed through the microphone. Ladies and gentlemen, we've reached the most beautiful moment of the evening. The groom may now kiss his bride. The crowd erupted in applause. I stepped closer to get a better angle to serve the champagne. That's when I saw him turn around. Time stopped. The tray slipped from my fingers. Glass shattered against the marble floor like a gunshot. 200 heads turned toward me, but I couldn't look away from him. Julian. My Julian. The man who kissed me goodbye this morning. The man who promised me Dubai was going to save our future. The man wearing a wedding ring that wasn't mine. His face drained of color. Our eyes locked. He raised one finger to his lips. A desperate, silent plea. Shh. I smiled. I bent down, picked up a glass of red wine from the floor, and started walking. Straight toward the white dress. Straight toward the woman who thought she was marrying a successful oil investor. Straight toward the truth. But let me take you back. Back to 72 hours ago, when I still believed in him. I was in our tiny apartment kitchen, making coffee, when Julian walked in dragging his suitcase. He looked excited. Almost too excited. Babe, pack me some of those protein bars. The flight to Dubai is 14 hours. I turned around, smiling. I still can't believe it's finally happening, after all these months of struggling. He pulled me close, kissing my forehead. And this contract is going to change everything, Zara. The investors want to meet me in person. Once I sign this deal, we'll never have to worry about money again. I wanted to believe him. God, I wanted to believe him so badly. How much do you need for the trip? I asked, already knowing the answer would hurt. He hesitated. That should have been my first clue. The thing is, love, the company account is frozen until we get this investment. I need $5,000 for the business class ticket, the hotel, and some presentation materials. $5,000? That was everything we had left. Our rent was due in 2 weeks. Our savings account was gasping for air. Julian, that's all we have. He cupped my face in his hands. Those hazel eyes looked so sincere, so trustworthy. I know it's scary. But sometimes you have to invest in the future, right? Trust me. In 1 week, I'll come back and we'll pay off every debt. We'll buy you that catering van you've been dreaming about. We'll finally live the life we deserve. I went to the bedroom and transferred the money. All of it. Every penny we'd saved from my catering gigs, from selling my grandmother's jewelry, from skipping meals. The next morning, he was gone before sunrise. I found a note on the pillow. I love you. Dubai, here I come. Your future husband is going to make you proud. Future husband. We'd been together for 3 years, living together for 2. He'd promised me a ring once the business takes off. I'd stopped asking, day 1 without him. I ate crackers for dinner. Day 2, the landlord called. Rent is due in 12 days, Zara. I can't give you another extension. Day 3, my phone rang. Unknown number. Hello? Is this Zara Martinez? This is Claudette from Elite Events. We had a last-minute cancellation for a wedding this Saturday. High-profile client. The pay is $3,000 for one night. Are you available? $3,000. That would cover rent and give me enough to survive until Julian returned. I'm available, I said, trying not to sound desperate. Perfect. It's a 200-guest wedding at the Grandrose Estate. Black tie service. We need you there at noon for prep. The couple wants perfection. I'll be there. I should have asked who the couple was. I should have asked a lot of things. Saturday morning arrived. I put on my black catering uniform, tied my hair into a tight bun, and took 2 buses to get to the Grandrose Estate. The moment I walked through the service entrance, I knew this was money. Real money. The kind of wealth that makes you feel small just by existing near it. The kitchen was massive. Marble countertops. Industrial ovens. A sous chef was yelling in French. Claudette, a sharp woman in her 50s, grabbed my arm. You're Zara? Good. We're short-staffed. I need you on champagne service during the ceremony. Then you'll work the main hall for dinner. Do not speak unless spoken to. Do not make eye contact with the guests. Smile, serve, disappear. Understood? Understood. The bride's family is very particular. The groom paid for everything in cash. Up front. $50,000 for one wedding. So we don't mess this up. $50,000. In cash. My brain stuttered. Julian and I couldn't scrape together $500 for an emergency. I started prepping the canapes, smoked salmon, caviar, truffle cream, ingredients that cost more than my weekly grocery budget. Another server, a young guy named Marcus, leaned over. Did you see the bride? She looks like she walked out of a magazine. And the groom? Apparently he owns oil fields in Texas. That's what I heard the mother of the bride saying. Oil fields, investor, business. A weird feeling twisted in my stomach. But I pushed it away. There are lots of businessmen in the world. Lots of people in oil. It's not him. It can't be him. He's in Dubai. I checked my phone. No messages from Julian since yesterday. He'd sent me a photo of what looked like an airport lounge. Boarding soon. Miss you already. I put the phone away and kept working. 2 hours later, Claudette barked orders. Ceremony is starting in 5 minutes. Zara, Marcus, grab the champagne trays. Stand along the side aisle. Look invisible. I picked up the silver tray loaded with crystal flutes. The champagne bubbled softly. I walked into the ballroom. My breath caught. It was beautiful. Painfully beautiful. Everything I'd ever dreamed my own wedding might look like. White roses cascading down from the ceiling. A string quartet playing Pachelbel. 200 guests in designer clothes, whispering and smiling. I positioned myself near the third row, balancing the tray perfectly. I'd done this 100 times. Weddings, corporate events, birthday parties. I was good at being invisible. The music changed. The bride appeared. She was stunning. A vision in white silk and lace. Her veil trailed behind her like a cloud. Diamond earrings caught the light. She looked happy. Confident. Like a woman who'd never questioned whether she deserved this. I felt a pang of jealousy. Not of her. Just of the certainty. The security. The life where $50,000 was just a wedding budget. The bride reached the altar. The officiant, a man with silver hair and a warm voice, began to speak. Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today to witness the union of Candace Elizabeth Morrison and Julian Theodore Castellanos. The tray almost slipped. Julian. No, it's a common name. There are thousands of Julians. My Julian is in Dubai. My Julian is... You may now kiss the bride. The groom turned around, and my whole world shattered. The champagne flutes clinked together as my hands started shaking. It was him. Every feature, every detail. The small scar above his left eyebrow from a childhood accident. The way he stood with his weight slightly shifted to his right leg. The nervous habit of touching his collar when he was anxious. Julian, my Julian, kissing another woman in a wedding dress. The guests were clapping, cheering, throwing rose petals. The bride was beaming, her arms wrapped around my boyfriend's neck. My live-in boyfriend. The man whose dirty socks I'd picked up off our bathroom floor 3 days ago. I must have made a sound. A gasp. A whimper. Something. Because Julian's eyes found mine over Candace's shoulder. For one frozen second, we just stared at each other. I watched the color drain from his face. Watched his pupils dilate in pure panic. Watched him try to smile at his new bride while his eyes screamed at me across the room. The tray slipped. I tried to catch it. Failed. 20 crystal glasses hit the marble floor in an explosion of glass and champagne. The sound echoed like a bomb in the sudden silence. Every single person turned to look at me. "Oh my God, I'm so sorry," I heard myself say. My voice sounded strange, distant, like it belonged to someone else. Claudette materialized beside me, her face bright red. "Get to the kitchen. Now. Marcus, help her clean this up." I bent down, picking up shards of glass with trembling fingers. Julian was still staring at me. He mouthed something. One word. "Please." I stood up, looked him dead in the eye, and smiled. His face went from white to green. I turned and walked toward the kitchen, glass crunching under my shoes. But I wasn't going to hide. Not anymore. I was going to think, and then I was going to act. In the kitchen, Claudette grabbed my shoulders. "What happened out there? You've worked dozens of events. You don't drop trays." "I'm sorry. I got dizzy for a second. Low blood sugar. I haven't eaten today." She softened slightly. "There's bread in the back. Eat something, drink water. I need you functional for the reception. We're already understaffed and the bride's mother is a nightmare." I nodded and walked to the prep area, but my mind was racing. Julian was marrying someone else. While I scraped together rent money, while I survived on crackers, while I believed he was in Dubai building our future, how long had he planned this? How long had he been seeing her? And then the bigger question hit me. Why? I pulled out my phone with shaking hands and Googled Candace Morrison. The results loaded. Candace Elizabeth Morrison, 28 years old, daughter of Robert Morrison, CEO of Morrison Oil and Gas. Estimated family net worth, $200 million. $200 million. My stomach turned. I kept scrolling. There was an engagement announcement from 2 months ago. A photo of Candace and Julian at some charity gala. The caption read, "Oil heiress Candace Morrison announces engagement to investment consultant Julian Castellanos." The couple met at a business conference in Austin and planned to marry this fall. 2 months ago, when Julian told me he was going to a boring supply chain seminar in Texas. Investment consultant. He'd never consulted on anything in his life. His company was 3 failed business ideas and a pile of debt. I heard footsteps, heavy, rushed. I looked up. Julian stood in the kitchen doorway, still in his tuxedo, his face slick with sweat. "Zara!" His voice cracked. "Zara, I can explain." I stared at him. This man I'd loved. This man I'd trusted with everything. "You're supposed to be in Dubai," I said quietly. I know how this looks." He stepped closer, glancing over his shoulder to make sure no one was watching. "But it's not what you think. This whole thing, it's not real. You just married her, Julian, in front of 200 people. That looked pretty real to me." "It's a business arrangement," he was whispering urgently now. "Candace needed a husband quickly for some inheritance clause in her grandfather's will. I needed capital for the company. It's a contract marriage. We're getting it annulled in 6 months. I was going to tell you, but I didn't want you to worry about—" "Don't!" I cut him off. "Don't you dare stand there in your wedding tuxedo and lie to me. I saw the engagement announcement 2 months ago, Julian. You've been planning this for months." His mouth opened and closed. No words came out. "How much is she paying you?" I asked. "It's not like that." "How much?" He hesitated. $1 million when the inheritance clears. $1 million while he took my last 5,000, while he let me work myself to exhaustion, while he kissed me and called me his future wife. I laughed. It came out harsh and broken. "You took my savings to pay for your fake honeymoon, didn't you? There is no Dubai. There never was." "Zara, please. Just let me get through today. I'll explain everything tonight. I'll give you money. I'll make this right. Just please don't make a scene. If you ruin this wedding, her father will destroy me. He has connections, lawyers. He could—" "Destroy you?" I stepped closer to him. "You destroyed me, Julian. You took everything I had. You made me believe we were building a life together while you were shopping for a richer model. That's not fair. I love you. This is just business. You married her, Julian. It's on paper. It doesn't mean anything." I looked at him. Really looked at him. At this man who could rationalize anything, who could look me in the eye and call his betrayal a business decision. And then an idea formed. Crystal clear. Perfectly cold. "You're right," I said softly. "You're absolutely right." He blinked, confused. "What?" "This is business. And you know what? I'm a businesswoman too." I crossed my arms. "Here's my offer. Julian, I'll keep my mouth shut. I'll serve your reception. I'll smile and pour champagne and let you have your perfect fake wedding day." Relief flooded his face. "Thank you, God, Zara, thank you. I knew you'd understand. I knew you'd. I'm not finished. My voice turned to ice. You're going to pay me triple my catering fee, $9,000, cash, before the night is over. His face fell. I don't have that kind of cash on me. Then you better figure it out. Because if you don't, I'm going to walk back into that reception and introduce myself to your new bride as your live-in girlfriend. I'm going to show her the photos of our apartment, the texts you sent me this morning, the bank transfer from 3 days ago where you took my life savings. Zara, you're being unreasonable. Oh, I'm just getting started. I smiled sweetly. And one more thing. Every time I serve your table tonight, every time I refill your wine or bring you a plate, I'm going to whisper something in your ear, a little reminder of what you're losing, of what you destroyed. His jaw clenched. You're really going to torture me? No, Julian. I'm going to give you exactly what you deserve, a perfect wedding day. With a price tag? I picked up a fresh tray of champagne and walked toward the door. Zara, wait. I turned back. Oh, and Julian, try to smile for the photographer. You're paying $50,000 for these memories. Might as well look happy. I left him standing there, his tuxedo suddenly looking 2 sizes too small. Back in the reception hall, the guests were mingling. The ceremony was over. Candace was laughing with her bridesmaids, her veil now removed, looking radiant and blissfully unaware. I straightened my uniform, checked my hair in a passing mirror, put on my professional server smile. Then I walked to the bridal table where Julian had just sat down, looking like he might vomit. Champagne, sir? I asked sweetly, filling his glass. As I poured, I leaned close to his ear and whispered, Your wife at home is hungry tonight, darling. She had crackers for dinner while you were trying on tuxedos. His hand trembled as he picked up the glass. Candace noticed. Honey, are you okay? You look pale. I'm fine, he said through gritted teeth. Just overwhelmed. Happy. Aw, you're so sweet. She kissed his cheek. I moved to her glass. Champagne for the bride? Yes, please. Oh my God, isn't this amazing? I feel like a princess. You look like one, I said truthfully. She did. She looked beautiful and happy and completely in love. For a moment, I almost felt guilty. Almost. Then I remembered my empty bank account, my unpaid rent, the protein bars I'd packed for a man who was never going to Dubai. I finished pouring and walked away. Marcus caught my arm. Dude, you okay? You seem off. I'm fine, just tired. The groom keeps staring at you. It's kind of weird. Probably worried I'll drop another tray, I lied. The reception continued. Dinner was served, a 4-course meal that cost more than I made in a month. I served each plate with mechanical precision, and every time I approached Julian's table, I whispered, When I brought the salad, remember when we couldn't afford groceries last month? This arugula costs $40 a pound. When I served the steak, she got the filet mignon. I got your empty promises. When I refilled his wine, does she know you snore? Does she know you cry during animated movies? Does she know you at all? By the 8th course, his face was the color of old cheese. He wasn't eating, wasn't drinking, just sitting there while his new bride chatted happily with her family. Claudette pulled me aside. The bride's mother wants to do the video tribute soon. Can you dim the lights when I give the signal? Of course. The video tribute. I'd seen the setup earlier. A laptop connected to the projector, playing a montage of Candace and Julian's relationship, photos of them at various events, smiling, holding hands, playing the part. I walked to the tech booth. The laptop sat unattended. The video file was already queued up. An idea sparked. A terrible, beautiful, perfect idea. I looked around. No one was watching. Everyone was focused on the speeches starting at the main table. I pulled out my phone, scrolled through my photos, found the folder I was looking for. Julian home. Pictures I'd taken over the last few months. Silly. Domestic moments. Julian asleep on our couch, mouth open, drool on his chin. Julian in his ratty underwear making coffee. Julian with his hair sticking up. eyes half closed, looking utterly unglamorous and completely human. Real. That's what these photos were. Real. I connected my phone to the laptop, imported the photos, and then, with hands that didn't shake at all, I swapped the files. Candace's perfect tribute video. Deleted. My homemade Julian reality show. Ready to play. I stepped back just as Claudette called out, "Okay, everyone, we're about to play a special tribute video. Dim the lights." I hit the switch. The room went dark. The projector hummed to life. And on the screen, 12 feet tall, appeared a photo of Julian sprawled on our threadbare couch in boxer shorts and a stained t-shirt, mouth wide open, mid-snore. The room went silent. Then someone laughed. A nervous, confused laugh. Another photo appeared. Julian eating cereal in his underwear, watching cartoons. More laughter. Uncertain now. Candace's voice cut through the darkness. What is this? Photo 3. Julian and me. His arm around my waist, my head on his shoulder. Taken in our kitchen 2 weeks ago. The timestamp clearly visible in the corner. The lights came on. Candace was standing, staring at the screen. Julian. Who is that woman? Julian looked like he wanted the floor to swallow him whole. I stood in the back of the room, tray in hand, and smiled. This was just the beginning. The room erupted into chaos. Guests were whispering, pointing at the screen. Candace's mother stood up, her face a mask of fury and confusion. The bridesmaids huddled together, phones already out, probably texting their group chats. Julian was frozen in his chair, staring at the giant projection of himself in his underwear like a deer caught in headlights. Candace turned to him, her voice shaking. "Julian, who is that woman in the photo with you?" I watched from the shadows as he scrambled for an explanation. This was the moment. This was where I could destroy everything. One sentence, "That's me, I'm his girlfriend." But something stopped me. Maybe it was the look on Candace's face, the confusion, the hurt starting to creep into her eyes. She was a victim too. She didn't know she was marrying a con artist. Or maybe it was something darker. Maybe I wanted to watch him squirm longer. Wanted to make him suffer the way I'd suffered. Julian cleared his throat, standing up. His voice was loud, forced, cheerful. "That's my cousin. Yeah, my cousin Zara. She's been going through a tough time and staying with me temporarily. Those photos are from when I was helping her move some furniture. Technical glitch with the video, I guess." Cousin. He called me his cousin. The rage that filled me was white-hot and Arctic cold at the same time. Candace looked relieved. "Oh, a cousin! That makes sense." She laughed, touching her chest. "God, you scared me for a second." Her mother wasn't convinced. Those photos looked quite recent, and rather intimate. "Just a close family," Julian said quickly. "We're Italian, very affectionate." He grabbed the microphone from the DJ. "Anyway, let's get the real tribute video playing." Sorry about that technical issue, everyone. Let's see the actual montage of Candace and me. He was smooth. I had to give him that. Years of lying had made him an expert. The DJ scrambled to fix the laptop. Within minutes, the real video was playing. Candace and Julian at fancy restaurants. On a yacht. At the opera. All the places he'd told me he was networking or meeting investors. I stood in the kitchen doorway and made my decision. I wasn't going to expose him yet. Not like this. That would be too easy, too quick. No, I was going to do exactly what I'd promised. I was going to torture him. Slowly. All night long, Claudette appeared beside me. "What the hell was that video mix-up?" "I have no idea," I said innocently. "Must have been a technical error. Is everything okay?" She sighed. "The mother of the bride is furious." But the groom smoothed it over. "Just, let's not have any more disasters tonight, okay?" "Absolutely." I picked up a tray of soup bowls. The first course was being served. A butternut squash bisque with truffle oil and microgreens. Each bowl probably cost more than my phone bill. I walked to the head table, where Julian was desperately trying to look normal. Candace was holding his hand, whispering something sweet to him. He nodded, kissed her forehead, the picture of a devoted groom. "I'm butternut squash bisque," I announced, placing bowls in front of them. As I set Julian's bowl down, I leaned close. My lips nearly touched his ear. "Cousin?" I whispered. "Really? Is that the best you could do?" His spoon clattered against the bowl. "Are you all right, honey?" Candace asked. "Fine, just hungry, very hungry." He picked up the spoon with a trembling hand. I moved around the table, serving the other guests, then returned to refill water glasses. When I reached Julian again, I whispered, "Remember last Tuesday, when you said you were too tired to help me carry groceries up 4 flights of stairs, but you had enough energy to take her on a yacht?" He didn't look up, just stared at his soup like it might offer him an escape route. Candace noticed his discomfort. "Babe, you're barely eating. Are you feeling sick?" No, just overwhelmed. Happy tears, you know." He forced a smile. I walked away, satisfaction warming my chest. The second course arrived, pan-seared scallops with cauliflower puree and caviar. I carried the plates out on a large tray, my posture perfect, my face serene, professional, invisible, deadly. "Scallops for the happy couple," I said sweetly, placing the plates down. This time, as I served Julian, I whispered, "These scallops cost $60 each. Last week, I had ramen noodles for dinner 4 nights in a row because you said we needed to save money. Where was this money, Julian?" His fork missed his mouth. The scallop fell onto his tuxedo, leaving a small grease stain. "Damn it," he muttered, grabbing a napkin. "Here, let me help." I dabbed at the stain with my cloth, pressing a little too hard. These stains are so hard to get out, especially old ones that have been there a while, setting in deep. His eyes met mine. He understood the metaphor. "Thank you," he said through clenched teeth. "My pleasure, sir." The evening continued. Dinner courses came and went. Each time, I found a new way to remind him of what he'd done. The salad course. "This arugula is imported from Italy. You told me we couldn't afford my student loan payment this month. But I guess imported greens are more important than my education." The main course, filet mignon, rare, just how you like it. "Oh wait, you told Candace you prefer medium rare. Having trouble keeping your stories straight?" The wine pairing. A 1995 Bordeaux. "You once told me wine from a box was perfectly fine. I guess your standards have risen." By the 7th course, Julian wasn't eating at all. He was pushing food around his plate, his face pale and sweaty. Candace kept asking if he was okay. He kept lying that he was fine. But the best part? Every time I walked away from the table, I caught him staring at me with a mixture of fear and desperation, wondering what I would say next, wondering when I would finally detonate the bomb. The power was intoxicating. Around 9 p.m., Julian excused himself to go to the bathroom. I waited exactly 2 minutes, then followed. I found him in the hallway outside the restrooms, pacing, phone pressed to his ear. "I don't care what you have to do, Marcus. I need $9,000 in cash by 11 tonight. Sell something. Pawn something. I don't—" He saw me and went silent. "I'll call you back." He hung up and faced me. "Zara, please, this has gone on long enough." "Has it?" I crossed my arms. "I don't think so. The party's just getting started." "What do you want from me?" "I said I'd pay you. I'm working on getting the money right now." "Oh, I know. I heard pawning your stuff." I tilted my head. "That's interesting, considering you told me we couldn't pawn my grandmother's necklace when we were desperate last year because it was disrespectful to her memory. But now that it's your stuff on the line..." "Zara, you know what I realized tonight, Julian?" I stepped closer. "You're not just a liar, you're a coward. You're too afraid to build anything real, so you steal. You steal money. You steal time. You steal hope." His jaw clenched. "I never meant to hurt you. That's the problem. You didn't mean anything. I was just there. Convenient. A placeholder until something better came along." I looked him up and down. "And now you found your something better. A woman with a trust fund and a famous father. Congratulations. I'm sure you'll be very happy until she figures out what you really are." She won't. I'm going to make this work, I laughed. You actually believe that, don't you? You think you can fake your way through a marriage to a woman whose father owns half of Texas Oil? How long do you think it'll take before he runs a background check? Before he discovers your consulting company is registered in your studio apartment? Before he finds out about the 3 lawsuits from investors you scammed? His face went white. How do you... I Googled you, Julian. Took me about 15 minutes to find everything. Court records are public. I leaned in close. Did you really think I wouldn't check? That I wouldn't want to know who I was living with? If you know all that, why didn't you leave? The question hung in the air between us. Why hadn't I left? Pride, hope, love, maybe all 3. Because I'm an idiot, I said finally, but I'm not an idiot anymore. I turned to walk away. Zara, wait. His voice was desperate now. Please, I'm begging you, don't tell Candace. Let me have this. I'll pay you double, 18,000. I'll get it to you by the end of the week. I stopped, looked back at him. You'll pay me 9,000 tonight, like we agreed. And then you're going to do something else for me. Anything. You're going to give me your wedding ring. He blinked. What? The one Candace gave you. I want it. Zara, I can't. You can. You will. Because I'm going to put it in her champagne glass during the toast. And when she finds it, I'm going to watch your face as you try to explain why your wedding ring was floating in her drink. Horror dawned in his eyes. You're insane. No, Julian. I'm just learning from the best. I smiled. Now get back to your bride. You don't want to miss the cake cutting. I walked away, leaving him standing in the hallway, looking like a man standing on the edge of a cliff. Back in the reception hall, the DJ was announcing the cake cutting ceremony. Candace was radiant, holding a silver knife, waiting for her groom. Julian returned to the table, his smile plastic and strained. There you are, Candace grabbed his hand. Come on, we're cutting the cake. They walked to the towering wedding cake. 5 tiers, white fondant, sugar flowers, probably cost more than my car. The photographer circled them. Big smiles. This is the moment. Candace fed Julian a piece of cake. He fed her one back. Everyone clapped and cheered. I stood at my serving station, watching. And then I noticed something. Julian's hand was shaking as he set down his fork. He wiped his forehead. Looked around the room like he was searching for an exit. He was cracking. Good. Claudette appeared at my elbow. Champagne toast is next. Get ready to pour. I picked up a bottle of Dom Perignon, expensive bubbles for expensive people. As I poured champagne into glasses at the head table, I caught Julian's eye. He shook his head slightly. A plea. I smiled and pulled something from my pocket. My wedding ring. The one Julian had given me 2 years ago in a moment of drunken romance at 2 a.m. He'd proposed with a plastic ring from a candy machine, then bought me a real one the next week. A simple silver band with a tiny diamond. It had cost him $300. His promise ring, he'd called it. A promise of a future that never came. I'd been wearing it around my neck on a chain since the day we moved in together. He'd asked me to wait to wear it on my finger until we could afford a proper engagement. Now I slipped it off the chain, and as I poured Julian's champagne, I dropped the ring into his glass. It sank to the bottom with a soft plink. Julian saw it. His eyes went wide. Cheers, I whispered. I moved on to the next guest before he could react. The best man stood up, tapping his glass for attention. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to propose a toast to the happy couple. Everyone raised their glasses, except Julian, who was staring into his champagne like it contained a bomb. To Julian and Candace, may your love be as eternal as... Wait! Julian's voice cracked across the room. Everyone turned to look at him. He was standing, his face red, his glass trembling in his hand. I need to say something first. Candace looked delighted. Aw, honey, you want to give a speech? He looked at me. I raised my eyebrows. Waiting. He could do it. He could confess everything right now. End this charade. Or he could drink the champagne and literally swallow his lies. The room waited. Julian lifted the glass to his lips and drank. The ring slid into his mouth. I watched his throat work as he swallowed it down. He set the empty glass on the table, his eyes watering. I just wanted to say, he managed, his voice hoarse, that I'm the luckiest man alive. The room erupted in cheers. Candace kissed him, tears in her eyes. You're so sweet. I turned away, my hand over my mouth to hide my smile. He'd swallowed my ring, my promise, my past, and now it was inside him, just like all his other lies. The toast continued. Speeches were made. Laughter filled the room. And through it all, Julian sat at the head table, looking like he might choke. I caught his eye one more time as I passed with another tray. He looked broken. Good. This was far from over. The evening wore on. Dancing began. The DJ played romantic ballads while couples swayed on the floor. Candace and Julian had their first dance to Set Last by Etta James. She looked dreamy. He looked like he was dancing on his own grave. I watched from my position near the champagne fountain. Julian kept touching his throat, probably feeling the ring lodged somewhere between his guilt and his lies. Around 10:30 p.m., Claudette found me in the kitchen. The bride's father wants to make a speech soon. After that, we'll serve dessert and coffee, then we're done for the night. Understood. You've done well tonight, Zara, despite that video mishap. The mother of the bride even mentioned you were one of the better servers. Thank you. She left. I leaned against the counter, exhausted. Not from the work, from the rage, from holding everything inside like a shaken champagne bottle. I checked my phone, 10:37 p.m. In about 20 minutes, Julian would either have my money or he wouldn't. And if he didn't, my phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. This is Marcus, Julian's friend. I have $6,000 in cash. That's all I could get on short notice. He said you'd understand. Please don't do anything crazy. 6,000, 3,000 short. I typed back, tell Julian he has until 11 p.m. to find the rest. Clock is ticking. I hit send and walked back to the reception hall. Robert Morrison, Candace's father, was standing at the microphone. He was a big man, tall, broad-shouldered, with silver hair and the kind of presence that made people listen without raising his voice. Ladies and gentlemen, he began, I'm not a man of many words, but tonight I want to say a few things about my daughter and her new husband. The room quieted, all eyes on him. Candace has always been my little princess. Smart, beautiful, kind. She could have had anyone. And when she brought Julian home 6 months ago, I'll admit I was skeptical. Some polite laughter. Julian shifted uncomfortably at the table. But Julian won me over. He's a businessman. An investor. Someone who understands the value of hard work and integrity. Robert smiled. Or so I thought. The room went very still. Robert's smile faded. You see, I did what any good father would do. I ran a background check. Standard procedure when someone wants to marry into the Morrison family. Oh God. Candace's face went pale. Daddy, what are you... And do you know what I found? Robert's voice hardened. Julian Theodore Castellanos. No business license, no investment portfolio, no oil connections. In fact, the only thing I found was debt, lawsuits, fraud allegations from 3 separate investors in Austin. The room erupted in gasps. Julian stood up, hands raised. Mr. Morrison, I can explain. Can you explain the fact that your consulting firm is registered to a 1-bedroom apartment in a building with a D health rating? Robert's eyes were ice. Can you explain why you told my daughter you owned property in Texas when you're 3 months behind on rent? Candace turned to Julian, tears streaming down her face. Julian, is this true? Candace, baby, listen. Is it true? He opened his mouth, closed it, opened it again. Some of it is exaggerated, he finally managed. The business is in a growth phase. I never said I owned property. I said I had investments in... Don't you dare lie to her anymore! The voice that cut through the room was mine. I hadn't meant to speak, hadn't meant to step forward, but my body moved before my brain could stop it. Every head in the room turned toward me. Julian's face went from white to green. Zara? Don't. My name is Zara Martinez, I said, my voice surprisingly steady. I've been working as a server here tonight. But that's not the only reason I'm here. I walked toward the center of the room. My heart was pounding so hard I could feel it in my throat. Julian and I have been together for 3 years, living together for 2. He told me he was going to Dubai this week. He took the last $5,000 from our savings account for a business trip. I looked directly at Candace. There was no Dubai, there was just you, your wedding, your money. Candace's mother stood up. Security, remove this woman. Wait. Candace held up her hand, her voice shaking. Let her speak. I pulled out my phone. My hands were steady now. Purpose had replaced fear. These are text messages from Julian. From this morning. I held up the phone so everyone could see. At 7 a.m., he texted me, "Love you, babe. At the airport. Dubai, here I come." I swiped to another screenshot. Here's the bank transfer from 3 days ago, $5,000. From our joint account to his personal account. The memo says Dubai expenses. I swiped again. And here's a photo we took last week. In our apartment. The apartment he shares with me. Not in Texas. Right here in the city. 20 minutes from this venue. The photo showed Julian and me on our couch, his arm around me. We were watching TV, eating Chinese takeout. The timestamp was clear. 7 days ago. Candace made a sound like a wounded animal. Julian was backing away. This is insane. She's obsessed with me. I barely know her. She's a stalker who... Really, Julian? I laughed, and it came out bitter and sharp. I'm a stalker? Then explain this. I walked to the head table and picked up his tuxedo jacket from the back of his chair. Reached into the inside pocket. Pulled out his wallet. Do you mind? I asked Candace. She shook her head, mascara running down her cheeks. I opened the wallet. Inside was a photo, me and Julian at the beach last summer. Behind the photo was another, us at a friend's wedding. Behind that, one more, Christmas morning, both of us in matching ugly sweaters. Stalkers don't usually get to be in the wallet photo collection, I said quietly. The room was silent except for the sound of Candace crying. Julian made one last desperate play. Okay, fine, yes, we dated, briefly, but it's over. It's been over for months. She can't let go. She's trying to ruin my happiness because we had sex yesterday morning, Julian. His mouth snapped shut. Before you left for your trip to Dubai. We had sex. You told me you loved me. You kissed me goodbye and said you'd bring me back a present from the Middle East. My voice was steady as steel. That was less than 48 hours ago. How long exactly does months mean in your world? Candace let out a sob and turned to her father. Daddy, I want him out. Get him out of here. Robert Morrison's face was carved from granite. He gestured to 2 large men in suits who had been standing near the bar. Security. They moved toward Julian. Candace, please. Julian reached for her. I love you. This is all a misunderstanding. She's lying. You swallowed my ring, Julian, I said softly. He froze. Earlier tonight, I dropped my engagement ring, the one you gave me 2 years ago, into your champagne glass. You drank it, swallowed it. It's inside you right now. Candace looked at him in horror. What? I was trying to... It wasn't... Julian's face was the color of old milk. If you want proof, I continued, you could always take him to the hospital. Get an X-ray. See what's sitting in his stomach right now. A little silver band with the inscription, Forever, J to Z. Julian's knees buckled. One of the security guards caught him before he hit the ground. Get him out of my sight, Robert Morrison said coldly, and someone call the police. I want to press charges for fraud. The security guard started dragging Julian toward the exit. He was babbling, pleading, crying. Candace, Mr. Morrison, please, I can explain everything. Zara, tell them. Tell them it's not what it looks like. I said nothing. Just watched as they dragged him through the ballroom doors and out of sight. The silence that followed was deafening. 200 guests staring at me, at Candace, at the wreckage of what should have been the perfect wedding. Candace wiped her eyes and stood. For a moment, I thought she was going to attack me, blame me, scream at me for ruining her day. Instead, she walked over to me, and she hugged me. "Thank you," she whispered into my ear. "Thank you for saving me from making the biggest mistake of my life." I stood there, shocked, as this woman, this bride in her torn, mascara-stained wedding dress, clung to me like I was a life raft. "I'm so sorry," I whispered back. "I'm so sorry I didn't tell you sooner. I didn't know about you until today. I swear. I believe you." She pulled back, looking into my eyes. "He's good at lying, isn't he?" "The best," she laughed. It came out watery and broken, but it was a laugh. Robert Morrison approached us. "Miss Martinez, was it?" I nodded, suddenly very aware that I was still wearing my server uniform. "You did my daughter a service tonight. I'm in your debt." He pulled out his phone. "What's your Venmo, or do you prefer a check?" What? "You saved my daughter from a con artist. That's worth something." He smiled grimly. "Plus, I'm guessing you're out the $5,000 he stole." Yes, and my rent is due, and I haven't eaten a real meal in days." The words tumbled out before I could stop them. Robert typed on his phone. "What's the amount?" "The $5,000 would be..." "Done," added a zero. "Consider it a finder's fee for exposing a fraud." My phone buzzed. I looked down, a Venmo notification, $50,000. From Robert Morrison. I almost dropped my phone. "Mr. Morrison, that's too much nonsense. You could have stayed quiet, taken whatever hush money Julian offered and walked away, but you didn't. You stood up. You told the truth." He extended his hand. That kind of integrity is rare and valuable. I shook his hand, still in shock. Candace grabbed my other hand. "Also, I want to hire you." "What?" "For real. Not as a server, as an event planner. You clearly know how to make an unforgettable event." She smiled through her tears. "I'm serious. I have friends who are always planning parties, weddings, corporate events. And after tonight, everyone's going to be talking about what happened here. You'll be famous." I don't know what to say. Say yes. Say you'll let me help you start your catering business. Say you'll let us invest in your future the way that asshole tried to steal it. I looked at this woman. This stranger who had every right to hate me, who could have blamed me for her ruined wedding day. Instead, she was offering me a lifeline. "Yes," I said. "Yes, I'll say yes." Candace pulled me into another hug. Behind us, the guests were starting to whisper. Phones were out. This would be on social media within the hour. The wedding that ended in betrayal. The caterer who exposed the groom. The story was already writing itself. Claudette appeared at my elbow, looking shell-shocked. "Zara, I don't even know what to say." "Am I fired?" She laughed. Actually laughed. "Are you kidding? You just created the most talked-about event of the year. I'm putting you on every high-profile job we get from now on." The DJ, unsure what to do, started playing music again. Soft, instrumental versions of pop songs. Some guests started to leave. Others stayed, too fascinated by the drama to go. Candace's mother approached, her expression unreadable. "You," she said to me. "Yes, ma'am." That took guts. Stupid. Reckless guts. But guts nonetheless. She paused. "My daughter likes you, and Robert seems impressed. So I suppose I should thank you as well." "You're welcome. Although," she added with a sharp smile, "if you ever pull a stunt like that at one of my events again, I'll have you blacklisted from every venue in the state." "Understood." She walked away. I stood in the middle of the ballroom, surrounded by the ruins of someone else's perfect day, and I felt free. For the first time in 3 years, I felt free. My phone buzzed again. Another text from Marcus. "Julian says he's sorry, he says he loves you, he says he'll make it right." I deleted the message without responding. Then I blocked the number. Candace came back with a glass of champagne. "Here, you've earned this." I took it. We clinked glasses. To honesty, she said. To honesty, I echoed. We drank. And outside, through the ballroom windows, I could see police lights flashing. They'd caught up with Julian. The police car sat in the circular driveway of the Grand Rose estate, its blue and red lights painting the white columns in alternating colors. Through the glass doors, I could see two officers talking to Julian. He was gesturing wildly, still in his wedding tuxedo, looking like a desperate magician whose tricks had all been exposed. Inside the ballroom, the remaining guests had formed small clusters, phones out, whispering excitedly. This was the kind of story that would be retold at dinner parties for years. The wedding that imploded. The caterer who brought down the groom. The bride who dodged a bullet. Candace stood beside me at the window, watching. Her wedding dress was wrinkled now, the train dragging behind her like a discarded dream. But her shoulders were straight. Her jaw was set. "Do you think they'll actually arrest him?" she asked quietly. "Your father mentioned fraud charges. And there are those lawsuits from Austin." I glanced at her. "Plus, he did steal $5,000 from me. That's theft." "Good." Her voice was ice. "I hope they throw the book at him." Robert Morrison appeared, phone still in his hand. "The officers want statements from both of you. Candace first, then Ms. Martinez." Candace nodded and walked toward the entrance. I started to follow, but Robert held up a hand. "A moment, if you don't mind." I stopped. "Of course." He studied me for a long moment. "You could have handled this differently. Could have blackmailed him. Could have exposed him earlier in the evening to cause maximum chaos. Could have hurt my daughter more than you did." "I didn't want to hurt her at all," I said honestly. "I didn't even know she existed until I walked into this room and saw him at the altar. If I had known..." "What would you have done?" I thought about it. I would have called her, warned her, given her the choice to walk away before the wedding even happened. "Why didn't you do that tonight, the moment you recognized him?" "Because..." I paused, searching for the right words. "Because I was angry. Because part of me wanted him to suffer, to feel what I felt when I realized he'd lied to me, used me, thrown me away like garbage. And now I just feel tired." I looked out at the police car, and free. For the first time in 3 years, I feel like I can breathe. Robert nodded slowly. "Revenge is exhausting, isn't it?" "It is. But sometimes necessary." He handed me a business card. "My office number. Call me Monday. We'll discuss that investment in your catering business. Candace wasn't joking about wanting to help you. And neither am I." I took the card, my hands trembling slightly. "Mr. Morrison, I don't know what to say. Say you'll show up Monday. Say you'll let us turn this disaster into an opportunity." He smiled slightly. "And say you'll consider catering Candace's next event. When she's ready, a celebration of freedom, perhaps." I'd be honored. He patted my shoulder and walked away to speak with the event coordinator. I stood alone for a moment, holding the business card like it was made of gold. Claudette found me again. "The police want your statement now." I followed her outside. The night air was cool, a relief after the stuffy ballroom. Julian was already in the back of the police car, his head in his hands. He looked up as I approached, and our eyes met one last time. He mouthed something. "I'm sorry." Too little, too late. I looked away and walked to where the officers stood. "Mrs. Martinez, I'm Officer Chen. I understand you have information about Mr. Castellanos." "Yes. He stole $5,000 from me 3 days ago. Told me it was for a business trip. It was actually to fund this wedding." I pulled out my phone. I have bank records, text messages, photos proving we were in a relationship. Officer Chen took notes. "And you discovered he was marrying someone else when..." "Today, when I arrived to work as a caterer and saw him at the altar." The officer's eyebrow raised. "That must have been quite a shock. You have no idea." The interview took 20 minutes. I gave them everything. The bank transfers, the timeline of our relationship, Julian's lies about Dubai, the fake business, All of it. When it was over, Officer Chen handed me a card. "We'll be in touch. Mr. Morrison is pressing fraud charges, and with your theft complaint, we have enough to hold him overnight. He'll be arraigned on Monday." What happens after that? Depends on a lot of things. His lawyer, his ability to pay restitution. Whether he has priors we don't know about yet. Officer Chen looked at the police car. But between you and me, men like him always have more victims. You're probably not the first woman he's conned, and Mrs. Morrison definitely won't be the last he tried to scam. The thought made my stomach turn. How many other women had there been? How many other lives had he tried to steal? "Thank you, officer." I walked back into the venue. The ballroom was nearly empty now. The catering staff was breaking down tables. The DJ was packing up equipment. The beautiful wedding decorations looked sad and wilted, like flowers after a funeral. Candace sat alone at the head table, still in her dress, drinking champagne straight from the bottle. I walked over and sat down beside her. Hey. She offered me the bottle. "Want some? It's a 2008 vintage. Cost my dad $1,200. I took it and drank. It tasted like expensive bubbles and broken dreams. "I should have known," Candace said quietly. "There were signs. Little things that didn't add up. But I ignored them because I wanted the fairy tale so badly. That's not your fault. He's a professional liar." How long did it take you to figure it out? I thought back. Honestly, I don't think I ever fully did. I kept making excuses for him, believing his stories, telling myself things would get better. I took another drink. It took seeing him marry you to finally wake up. We're both idiots, aren't we? The best kind of idiots. The kind who believe in love. She laughed. It was watery but real. "I'm never getting married again." "You say that now?" "I mean it. Men are trash. All of them." "Not all of them. Your dad seems decent." "My dad is the exception that proves the rule." She took the bottle back. What about you? Are you going to date again?" "Eventually. Maybe. After therapy. And a lot of wine. And possibly joining a convent." She laughed again, louder this time. "Can I join your convent?" "Absolutely. We'll call it the Convent of Women Who Dodged Bullets." "Perfect. I'll design the logo." We sat in silence for a while, passing the bottle back and forth, watching the staff dismantle the remains of her wedding. Finally, Candace spoke. "You know what the worst part is." "What?" "I really did love him. Or I thought I did. I loved the version of him he showed me. The successful businessman, the romantic partner, the man who looked at me like I was the only woman in the world." She wiped her eyes. "That man never existed, did he?" "No," I said gently. "He didn't." How do you move on from loving someone who was never real? It was the question I'd been asking myself for 3 years. "I don't know yet," I admitted, "but I think we start by loving ourselves enough to know we deserve better." "Do we deserve better?" "Yes, we absolutely do." She leaned her head on my shoulder. "Thank you for blowing up my wedding." "You're welcome." "Thank you for not having me arrested." "Thank you for saving me from a lifetime of lies." "Thank you for the $50,000. She snorted. "That was my dad, not me." "Then thank you for not hating me." "I could never hate you. You're the hero of this story." "I'm really not. I'm just someone who finally got angry enough to tell the truth." "That's what makes you a hero." We sat there until the last table was broken down, until the last lights were dimmed, until there was nothing left of the wedding except 2 women in an empty ballroom, sharing a bottle of champagne and the wreckage of their hearts. Finally, Candace's mother appeared. "Sweetheart, it's time to go home." Candace stood, wobbly in her heels. "Can Zara come?" Her mother looked at me, her expression softening. "Of course she can." I started. "You should probably not go back to the apartment you shared with that man tonight," Candace's mother said firmly. "You'll stay with us. We have 17 bedrooms. You can have your pick." Thank you." An hour later, I was in a guest bedroom the size of my entire apartment. There was a 4-poster bed with silk sheets, a marble bathroom with a soaking tub, a walk-in closet filled with clothes Candace had insisted I borrow. I stood in front of the mirror in borrowed pajamas. Looking at myself, I looked different. Lighter somehow, like I'd been carrying a weight I didn't realize was there until it was gone. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. I almost ignored it. Then curiosity got the better of me. It was from Julian. Somehow he'd gotten access to a phone, probably his one allowed call. "Zara, please, I'm in jail. I need you to tell them it was a misunderstanding. Tell them we broke up months ago. Tell them I didn't steal from you. Please, I'm begging you. I love you. I've always loved you. This was all for us, for our future. Please." I read it 3 times. Then I typed back one word. No. I blocked the number, deleted the message, and turned off my phone. Then I ran a bath, hot water, expensive bath salts that smelled like lavender and new beginnings. I sank into the tub and closed my eyes. Tomorrow, I would wake up in a mansion. I would have coffee with a woman who should have been my enemy but was becoming my friend. I would call Robert Morrison and discuss my future. I would start building the life I'd always deserved. But tonight, I just wanted to feel clean. The next morning, I woke to sunlight streaming through floor-to-ceiling windows. For a moment, I forgot where I was. Then it all came back. The wedding, the exposure, the freedom. I smiled. There was a knock on the door. "Zara, you awake? Come in." Candace entered, wearing yoga pants and an oversized sweatshirt, her hair in a messy bun. She looked nothing like the princess bride from yesterday. She looked real. "Morning. Sleep okay? Better than I have in years. Good. Mom's making breakfast, Belgian waffles, bacon, fresh fruit, the works." She sat on the edge of my bed. "And Dad wants to talk business with you after. He's already called his lawyer about setting up your LLC. "Candace, this is too much." "It's not enough. Trust me. You gave me my life back." She grabbed my hand. "Let us help you build yours." 6 months later, I stood in front of my new storefront, a brick building in the downtown arts district. The sign above the door read, "The Truth on the Plate, Catering and Events by Zara Martinez." Candace stood beside me, holding a bottle of champagne. "Ready?" "Ready." She popped the cork. We both cheered as foam spilled onto the sidewalk. "To new beginnings," she said. To new beginnings." We drank straight from the bottle, laughing like teenagers. My phone buzzed. A notification from my business Instagram, another inquiry, a corporate event for 200 people. They'd found me through word of mouth. The caterer who exposed the con artist Groom, the woman who told the truth. The story had gone viral, just like Candace predicted. I'd been featured in local news, food magazines, even a podcast about women in business. Turns out, people loved a good revenge story, especially one that ended with someone building an empire from the ashes. "You coming to dinner tonight?" Candace asked. "Mom's making her famous lasagna. Wouldn't miss it." She hugged me and headed to her car. I watched her go. This woman who could have ruined me but chose to save me instead. I turned back to my storefront. Through the window, I could see the industrial kitchen I'd designed, the office where I'd plan events, the future I'd built with my own hands. My phone buzzed again. Another message. This one made me pause. It was from the state prison system. Julian had been sentenced, 3 years for fraud, 2 years for theft, sentences to run concurrently. He'd be out in 4 years with good behavior. There was a note from the prosecutor. He asked if you would visit. He says he wants to apologize in person. I stared at the message for a long time. Then I deleted it. Some apologies aren't meant to be accepted. Some bridges are meant to stay burned. Some chapters need to stay closed so new ones can begin. I walked into my restaurant, turned on the lights, and got to work. There were events to plan, dreams to build, a life to live. And for the first time in 3 years, that life was entirely my own,